the end of The Mandalorian Chapter 24, when our heroes were victorious on Mandalore, Ragnar finally took the creed. Din Djarin chimed in and requested that Grogu be initiated as well. At first, the armor said this was not possible since he can't talk yet, and so is too young to take the creed. If on the other hand his parents were to consent, it would be possible, but she said they're far away if they're even still alive. But Din requested to adopt the child as his own son, so Grogu went from being a foundling to a fully fledged Mandalorian apprentice, and this came with a name change. From now on he will not just be Grogu, but Din Grogu, and this created a lot of fan discussion. Many were left wondering, why did they not go with Grogu Djarin instead? Others don't like the change, and some find it unnecessary. I've even seen a few fans equate it to Rey taking on the name Skywalker at the end of episode 9. But in the case of The Mandalorian, it's actually very different in the context of the tribe, the Children of the Watch. As we know, The Mandalorian has often paid homage to Japanese samurai tradition, and in traditional Japanese culture, the family name comes first. It is also possible that in universe, the armor was following the naming conventions of Din Djarin's home world. Din might just be an appellation, a title meaning something like brother. I've also seen some fans speculate that the name Din Grogu alludes to the show's focus on fatherhood, bloodline, family, and legacy, and I really love the ending of season 3. It was wholesome, and it was so nice to see that Din and Grogu, for the time being, have a home. It reminded us that first and foremost, Star Wars has always been about family. But the name change has made some fans wonder, was Mando's first name Djarin this whole time, and not Din? This would be eyebrow-raising, but as I say, not too drastic to get your head around. Many cultures put their family name first, take their father's name, but the big question is now, are they gonna call him Din Grogu in the show, or just Grogu going forward? And is the name gonna stick with fans? Well, the answer to both these questions is probably not. Colloquially, I think fans are still gonna call him Grogu for the most part, and in the show, to avoid confusion, his official Mandalorian name is Din Grogu, but Mando is still going to call his son Grogu. But I can imagine some characters, notably the Armorer, calling him Din Grogu formally. Now, we did have a situation similar to this in The Mandalorian Season 2. In Chapter 13, The Jedi on Corvus, Ahsoka revealed to us Grogu's name for the first time. Up until then, we'd been calling him the child or Baby Yoda, so that was something to get used to, but that name stuck. Everyone calls him Grogu for the most part, and sure, you still get some fans who use the name Baby Yoda, but for the most part, on merchandise, on the action figures, on the Funko Pops, they went from the child to Grogu, and when we talk about him, the same thing. Despite some fans not liking it at first, Grogu is the name we use, but Din Grogu I can't see catching on, because we already have a Din Djarin. Now here is a very fun tidbit. Did you know that Mando's cabin on Nevarro is called Clan Mudhorn House? Very appropriate, because Din and Din Grogu, oh gosh, I just used it myself, together make up Clan Mudhorn, and I've loved the name Clan Mudhorn ever since season 1. And so now, my dear friends, we do have a bit of Star Wars news. Dave Filoni's been giving interviews with various websites promoting the Ahsoka show, and in his conversation with IMDb, he was hyping up what we can expect in the series. But at one stage, he's asked about the pressure of getting it right, and Rosario Dawson was asked the same thing. Dave responds by highlighting how he loves the shift in fan attitude towards Ahsoka. Even though she is so beloved today, he remembers a time back in 2008 when the Clone Wars movie came out, when fans were vitriolic, some were very angry, and they didn't like the character when she first appeared on screen. On the one hand, he is very proud of the character he created with George, but it also sounds as though he went through a lot of personal anguish when the initial fan reaction was rather sour. During the interview, he points out that fans were not receptive to Anakin Skywalker having a Padawan at the time. About a year and a half ago, I mentioned we're witnessing something very similar with Omega. When the Bad Batch Season 1 came out, fans were very mixed in their response to a female Django clone, who is for all intents and purposes Boba Fett's sister, and part of Clone Force 99. So many fans were outraged. They were furious she was a main character, and many found her to be annoying. Now, for the record, I was not one of these. I've loved Omega since day one. I thought she was super interesting, the possibility of exploring a female Django clone, the fact there was so much mystery to her. I love the character. And for those of you who've been watching ever since then, you'll remember all of the fan theories we came up with at the time. But now it seems as though many fans love her, and now that we're pre-Bad Batch Season 3, and that was confirmed to be the last, we presume most members of the Batch are gonna die, except for Omega. We kind of assume she's gonna live. And I really do believe she's gonna come to live action in the Book of Boba Fett Season 2, or another Mandoverse show later in the timeline, and we're gonna see her as a 40-something-year-old, and what she's been up to by then. Remember guys, she does not not have accelerated aging. So bringing it back to what Dave said, I think it's going to be another Ahsoka situation that with time, fans are going to come to love and appreciate the character. Because today, in 2023, Ahsoka is no doubt a fan favourite. Most people now love her, but that was not always the case. And so now, my dear friends, a tidbit for Star Wars Visions. Now we know this series, Season 2 is coming May the 4th, is not canon, or is it? Well, in a new interview with SFX magazine, Star Wars Visions executive producer James Woe talked about the canon status of Season 2. In his own words, he says, some of those stories could easily fit within a canon perspective, and if you think the story takes place within your headcanon, great. Even then, we weren't looking to expand tales about known characters. What's interesting about Visions is the opportunity to use the texture and richness of the galaxy to create new stories and new characters that are very clearly influenced by the elements of the galaxy. And the producer went on to tease a very special guest star in the Oddman episode. And he also says it's got tons of Easter eggs. So the big takeaway is it's not officially canon, but if you want it to be and it fits with your headcanon, then go for it, it is. Your personal headcanon is what's canon and official to you, and no one can tell you otherwise. Episodes from Season 1, like Tatooine Rhapsody or The Elder, are stories that can fit within canon, if you want them to be, but they're not officially part of it. But Season 2 does look like a lot of fun, and so finally, my dear friends, just to finish off on a light note, this is a fantastic clip I came across from FanExpo. Emily Swallow, the armourer, who had some amazing screen time in Season 3, went undercover at FanExpo as the armourer, and she didn't tell anyone it was her, so she goes around assuming that people think she's a cosplayer, and they all do, and there's some very adorable interactions. Let's react to this together.
I don't usually do this at conventions, but we're about to ambush some fans who will not expect me to be dressed in my own costume.
She is such a hilarious, funny person. I love her voice. Her entire vibe is so wholesome and fun.
Hopefully they will have no idea. This is the way to the entrance. Do you feel like we need to have a day of beauty with the armorer? How does she care for her skin under her helmet? How does she keep her hands soft underneath those leathery gloves?
That's true. You've got to moisturize.
Stormtroopers, look out for them. You all ready?
I find it so funny that no one knows who's under that helmet, and if they did, they'd freak out. I know this is not Star Wars Celebration, but at Celebration, just like at FanExpo, there are so many amazing Mandalorian cosplays.
Because I've seen one Grogu, I've seen them all. I want a picture with Mr. Vader. Take our picture.
Now there's a meeting. I mean, Vader's dead by the time of Mando, so it's not going to happen in the show, but maybe at one stage she knew Anakin.
We have a Mando over here who's removed his helmet. It's troubling.
That Mando who removed his helmet needs to go to the mines. She's so great.
Rent the runway.
I've spoken with Emily a few times. I'd love to interview her.
Be freaked out, huh? Hi.
That is a very cute golden retriever.
Hi. Now I've got my hammer and tongs, which means that this stormtrooper over here better look out.
She twatted stormtroopers in Season 1.
Jeez.
Intense staring. That was awesome. Alright guys, well thank you so much for watching today's video. If you enjoyed this one, please be sure to give me a big fat thumbs up, subscribe if you're new, and I'll see you in the next one. May the Force be with you always.